Somehow, Volkanovski has gotten into Henry Cejudo's wheelhouse, or vice versa. In fact, I think if we check the timeline, it is most likely that Henry Cejudo threw the first dagger and Volkanovski's just finally gotten around to giving him a receipt. But about 10 minutes ago, Volkanovski came out and he said it is embarrassing who Henry Cejudo is calling out. He's calling out aging legends. Why isn't he going after Peter Yan or Sandhagen, by example? Okay, hold that thought. Henry Cejudo responds and says what's going to be more embarrassing is when you get beaten up by a bloated flyweight. This isn't Hugby, you overgrown midget, is what he said. Okay, end quote. So, let's take a look at this. First off, when two champions are getting chirpy in the era of champ, which is a very real thing, it has my interest. Particularly when you know neither guy is going to back down should that opportunity come up. It has my interest. I do not predict for you that fight is going to happen. And I think that we would be asking a lot of Henry Cejudo to go all the way up to 145 pounds. And certainly Volkanovski can't get to 135. But that's a discussion for another day. Let's take a look at what Volkanovski says, because Volkanovski is very, very off base on this one. Very off base. If a champion generally does not call anybody out, it's a rare thing when a champion will do that. It's a fun thing, and it's a wonderful kiss to whoever's name he says. It is so rare that a champion calls anybody out. He will usually do that quietly in the back office and try to get the right guy, but he won't generally call anyone out publicly. Champions get called out. The fact that Henry is out there calling for his own shots, building interest, and by the way, getting the shots that he's taking should prove to you the power and the effectiveness and the rareness of a champion calling somebody out. If you are the guy who gets called out by a champion, oh my goodness, nothing better could possibly happen. It is one step away from getting the fight. I mean, that is the one. But you have to always observe, this is a business. You want the easiest fight for the largest paycheck. That is the business. And for Dominic Cruz to be the one that Henry thinks he can get the most eyeballs with is correct. Or when Henry goes after Frankie Edgar, it is correct. Or when Henry was calling out the California Kid, he is correct. It would not make sense for Henry to take on a Peter Yan or a Corey Sandhagen following the principle of easiest fight, biggest paycheck. No part of this am I saying that Frankie or Dominic or no part of that what I'm saying. What I'm sharing with you is in Henry's mind. If Henry believes this is a bigger fight, then I've got more footage of this guy. I understand this guy a little bit more. Let these young guys go and build their attention. The young guys have a job too. Peters and the Sandhagens out there, they have a job too, which is to call out Henry and to get their way. But that's the game that's being played. Henry's job is not to be helpful to them. His job is to keep that championship. His job is to get eyeballs and to get attention. And maybe right now he's working towards going up and doing a champ thing and going after Volkanovski. But that's still his role. That's still his job. His job is to not observe the rankings and show credit to the integrity of the hierarchy of the nut job media that doesn't even show their name, but somehow gets to contribute to this list. Which, by the way, who is the media doing this list? You want to know who should do the rankings? Me. You ask me who the number one contender is in any division, I will tell you who that contender is. And it will not be that this guy was nice to me and this guy wasn't. It won't be that I know this guy's manager or I met this guy's mother and she was really... I'll tell you who the best fighter is every single time. There was a guy that used to write for Ring Magazine. And he used to tell people this all the time. Don't look at who's got a belt in boxing. It means nothing. You ask me who the champion is. I decide who the champion is. I follow this. I'm entrenched in this, and I've never been wrong. I have told you guys many times over the years, and I've even had the courage to put it in writing, who the best fighter is. Eventually, the best fighter meets up with boxing's champion, and the guy I said was better wins. You want to know who the world champion is? World champion's whoever I say is the world champion. So you got guys that are trying to defer to a ranking system that's only credibility is that it's written down. What? It got written down And therefore it's so. Who wrote it down? And with what authority did they do it? You don't ever have to look at the ranking system. Henry Cejudo can call out anybody he wants. He's a champion of the world. Whoever's name he says is going to raise his hand and step forward. It's the opportunity that everybody wants. And Henry's job is not to go out and fight the hardest guy. In my opinion, he is. I can't imagine. Nobody's called out Dominic Cruz. Nobody calls out Dominic Cruz because nobody wants to fight Dominic Cruz. Nobody's called out Uriah Faber. Nobody's ever called out Jose Aldo. And you might be able to fact check that and go, well, you ain't Chael. Conor went after Jose pretty hard. Okay. I think in a broad stroke, I am proving my point. To make believe that Henry's calling out easy fights, come on, guys, that's fiction. That's not true. To make believe that he is calling out perhaps a more favorable fight, a bigger fight, guys, that's his job.